Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Oh, it's just Darcy here.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing real
I'm
good.
tired but good. Tired but good.
Well, I'm glad you're here, bro. Because frankly, we're back after a week-long hiatus. Darcy and I decided to just skip out on our boy Tactics and leave him all by himself for the show. I was kind of hoping for
There
a
was no
one-man
show.
show.
I didn't do it. I just
I know.
took a break. I was doing
really
shit
excited.
too, guys. I got shit to do too. Not just you. I went somewhere.
What'd you do, bro?
I just went to school, man.
Oh, I love how that I was waiting for something epic.
That is epic. My man's probably killing it at school.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right, moving on that one. Okay, so we got a bit of a packed agenda because obviously we had a week to catch up on, and so we'll start off with our big segment, which is Geeky News. We are going to discuss firstly something that we were supposed to discuss last time, but I vetoed that, and Tactics was really upset about that because let me take a moment and just say that our boy Tactics has a big job, and I don't make it easy for him. I put the agenda together, and he has to make all the videos and all the pictures and set up and like that. And I frequently, and I'm owning to this, I frequently revise the agenda sometimes the day of, not always, but
Sometimes 20 minutes before showtime.
It was a simple, slight change. It's not like anyway. Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so we're going to take a moment. Everyone here, let's take a moment. Everyone in the chat, and just appreciate Tactics for all the hard work he does.
Oh, perfect. There's no one in the chat right now. Thanks, Umar.
Oh,
all right. Then let us take a moment in the comment section after when you're watching this to appreciate Tactics and his hard work.
Also, can we take an extra moment to run Umar over with the bus and then back it up again? Okay, just find your way to make fun of Umar as much as possible for that one. Thank you.
All right. So, for our first topic, is we're going to discuss the Wednesday trailer, aka Wednesday Addams trailer. That is a series that's going to be released on Netflix at some point. Based off the trailer, it looks to be following the whole comedy aspect of the Addams family. I'm not too sure of what else, like if this is meant to be a prequel or a sequel or whatever's going on with her family, but nonetheless, it focuses on Wednesday Addams, and it will be debuting. I think it was November. I think it's in November on Netflix. This show is going to be having it's going to star Louise Guzman and Catherine Zeta-Jones as Gomez and Morticia. I don't recall the brother's name, but whatever.
Bugsy.
Anyway, so Bugsy, that was it. Anyway, so the trailer dropped let's say over a week ago, and I wanted to hear what you guys have to say. So T, this was something you wanted to talk about. So what do you think?
Well, first off, you said they're gonna take a comedy. They're gonna focus on the comedy aspect of it. Wasn't Addams Family always kind of a comedy, like a dark comedy?
Well, yeah, I meant to say that it's continued on that trajectory. It's not like they're doing like an actual straight up horror version.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because I grew up loving this was kind of like one of my guilty pleasures. Like I used to love the Addams Family. I don't know why as a kid I was just really into it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw both the movies. And then I used to watch the TV show on YTV when it used to come on. And I don't think they've done any other iterations of the Addams Family since. Or there's like an animated movie, but I didn't watch that one. But yeah, I really enjoyed the original movies. And I first heard about this concept a couple months ago. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, and, we'll see we'll see how it is when the trailer drops. And then I saw the trailer and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's still got that same Adams Family vibe to it. Um, I liked it. I enjoyed the trailer. Is it something that I'm gonna? I feel like I've kind of outgrown the Adams Family now, so I don't know if it's gonna be something that I can fully commit to and fully invest in. But I am curious enough to give it a chance and check it out. The casting seems really good. Like this girl here, I first saw her in the show You, season 2, and she was fantastic. And then she was in the recent Scream movie, and she was also great in that as well. So to see her cast as Wednesday Adams is really interesting, and I think she's going to really pull it off and do a great job. Um, didn't see Catherine Zeta-Jones. I like that. That kind of threw me off a little bit, but I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that. The Gomez initially kind of like really threw me off because I forget the name of the actor, but I was like,
Raul Julia.
yeah, I was like, really? As Gomez? But then I'm like, okay, because I remember like some of the animated Adams Family, and like he kind of fits that vibe. I'm just used to seeing
Raul Julia.
yeah. I'm used to seeing him as Gomez. Even with the TV series, I never really. I'm like, nah, that's not Gomez. The OG is you just said his name and I forgot his name. Yeah. Yeah. We're just gonna move on from it. Okay, so yeah,
Raul Julia.
Raul Julia. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I enjoy it. I like the trailer. It seems dark, funny, and I'll check it out, see how it is.
Darcy?
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Adam Sandler when I was a kid, but I can't say that I was like serious about it. Like I haven't rewatched it many times. I've watched it in pieces. But the thing that's always stood out for me from Adam's Family the most was Wednesday. Like I don't even remember exactly what happened, but I always remember like 2 things with her that always stick out in my mind, which is like the time that they're at the camp and they're talking about like American pilgrimage and how she was like saying something about the difference and then she's trying to kill people. And then something about her being by water and trying to drown somebody, like her brother or something. I can't remember who she's trying to drown. Like this is what like sticks out in my mind. And then all the other like actors, you know, and like their how deep into their role they were. Like it's a very out there kind of thing, and you have to be very committed to what you are doing, otherwise it will never work. And so the girl here who's playing the new Wednesday, you know, she seems the strongest out of everybody in the cast, and rightfully so, right? And that's what I'm most intrigued about. Since Wednesday was always a standout character for me, I'm excited to see it kind of focus on her a little bit more. I think that's a good move, because I feel, but I'm also really like intrigued by like how do you make this work as a show compared to how it works as a movie, because the movies are like come from a campy era and it was on the extreme. I don't know why when I was a kid, but I always like when I would think of Adam's Family, I'd also think of Casper, and not quite the same.
It's got the same vibe though.
Yeah.
It's the whole death part of it. It's like comedy.
I feel like it's the
death.
same house too.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Is it owned by Disney? Like, no, obviously because Netflix is running it. But like that, you know how like how Pixar has like interconnected things in every movie. It'd be hilarious if it's like Casper is like, you know, one of the people that Wednesday actually killed, you know, something like that. I'm intrigued to see how they do this as a show and how they upgrade it like narratively to fit, because you know we're obviously in an era where like back then you would do things that are like in live action clearly are not realistic. You know, people wouldn't believe it, like slapstick humor, like someone gets hit in the head with like a frying pan, you're like that person would be dead, and then like show up just with like a mark on their forehead and you're like, okay, right? Now it's like, are they going to lean into that a little bit, or are they going to make it a little more grounded? And if they're going to make it more grounded, then how does it work? Like for instance, this piranhas in the bag, is it actually like gonna like really hurt somebody badly, or are they gonna like barely get out? I forget, in the trailer they show us one person getting hurt. I can't remember exactly what happens to him, but to the point being like how where are they going to draw that line compared to where they drew that line before? How grounded in reality is it going to be, or is it going to have a tone that like takes us to a different place? So that's what I'm just most intrigued by, because it's like this could be really amazing, or it could really fail because it couldn't quite figure out where that tone it needs to be, and it's too in between things, and it lacks an identity. So I'm intrigued. I'm generally like lightly excited, and I guess hopeful, and more trailers and reviews in the first like couple episodes will tell me a lot. Umar,
Nice.
you wait.
I will say that, like, for me, I probably have the least interest in this. I also had the least interest in the Addams Family. Like, I did not care. I just
Clearly.
watched. Yeah, I just like watched it because it was on TV one time, and I was like, cool, and that was about it.
He was digging into you for skipping it last week or like 2 weeks ago.
I figured as much. But no, I will say that, like, I was a big fan of Raul Julia, which is kind of the reason why I watched the first one. I also like Angelica Houston, but I didn't know I liked her until like much later. But like, she was really cool. Also, it was cool to see Christopher Lloyd in the original one. Anyway, I would say that this is interesting. I actually had no interest in watching this when I heard about this way back, but like, I'm interested. However, the fact that Tim Burton is directing the first 2 episodes makes me less interested, because he's been kind of, in my opinion, gone downhill. If this is his comeback and he actually goes back to form, and this actually is like proof that he comes back to form, that will be actually fascinating, and I would actually like to watch that, and I actually hope that that's the case. But I honestly am gonna wait until you guys say, "Yo, bro, you gotta watch this."
I guess it's gonna be, we're waiting to see what Tactix says first. This is gonna be. I was like, I want to wait for the first couple episodes reviews too. So yeah.
It does seem like a lot of those old school shows like Addams Family are making a big comeback. Like for example, I don't know if you guys have seen recently, but something to do with the rights to Winnie the Pooh are now offered as free use or something like that. So now anyone can just like literally we could like take the property of Winnie the Pooh and make a movie out of it. So they've decided to create a horror movie for like super low budget, and it's coming out I think sometime in October or whatever, where basically Christopher Robbins leaves for like a year or something like that, and he comes back, and like Winnie the Pooh and Piglet are now these like grown-up murderous monsters, and they're going around
Jesus
killing
Christ.
people. Yeah, it's like some deep serious shit, bro.
That sounds like a skip. I was waiting for you to say something like that Spider-Man like child movie. I forget what it's called. But it's not Spider-Man. Sorry, Superman. I meant to say.
Yeah, when he's like the serial killer kid version of it.
Yeah, like something like that, but no. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe it's like Chucky, Brightburn,
that's it.
Like Brightburn or like Chucky, maybe. But that what you just said, I'm like, that feels like it's gonna be like the beginning of it's just gonna be like roll the text on the screen, and it's like he left for a year and we were left all alone, and like, all right, let's just jump into how they're murderous. Like let's it's so bad.
Yeah, and do you guys remember the Munsters? It's like an old school TV show. Like I think it was like black and white at the time, and it was like Frankenstein, and he had like his son was like a vampire or some shit, and I forgot who his wife was. But yeah, anyway, so Rob Zombie is bringing that back. He's doing like a remake of that as well. But the trailer looks horrible. Yeah, you saw it, right?
No, I didn't, but like I was reacting to what Darcy was saying.
Horrible as in like he doesn't know what he's doing, or horrible as in what Rob Zombie normally does, which is it's going to be absolutely disgusting.
The former, because it looks, I don't know, it looks very cheesy, like 70s cheese, and I don't know if that was intentional or he just he was smoking something and shit wasn't finished and he decided to just release it. But it looks like 70s porn without the sex, obviously, but like just that kind of cheese, like
Oh my god.
Everything is like very like amateur and like poorly shot. It looks basic and terrible.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking at some clips right now. It does look bad.
Yeah.
However, watch people watch it and they're like, it's like the reverse of WandaVision. You get in it and you like think it's gonna be like whatever, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it just goes disgustingly horrible. Like it just goes because Rom Zombie has some of the most horrific like horror films.
Yeah.
At least like the one that I saw that I like Devil's Reject or something. I don't know. I saw a clip at someone's house. I walked into a room and somebody was like wearing somebody else's face, and I was like, I wasn't ready for this. I was in a
Mm.
good normal day mood. Wasn't ready to watch somebody like put somebody like their partner's face on somebody else. It was messed up. Like it's not the thing you want to walk in on the room and not know you're about to see
Yeah.
kind of an event. So, anyways,
All right. Well, moving on. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is the latest trailer of the next live action Disney film that is adapting a classic Disney cartoon film. So the trailer for Pinocchio came out. It is going to be directed by Robert Zemeckis, who he's done a whole bunch. Like he's done so many things, like Back to the Future and Forrest Gump. And he casted Geppetto as Tom Hanks, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to be the Jiminy Cricket.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And Keegan-Michael Key is going to be
Pinocchio?
he's the fox. He's the fox.
The fox. Okay. I don't even remember the fox.
Neither do I, actually. Anyway, so the trailer dropped last week, and I want to say that I'm not against the movie, but at the same time, the trailer it was fine. Like for me, the trailer was fine, but I'll get more into that later. I wanted to hear what my bros thought. So, Darcy, let's start with you, man. What did you think of the Pinocchio trailer?
all right. So haven't cared about this movie at all. Following up with you just mentioned it was a second trailer, so I literally just started watching it in the background, skimming through it. What I will say is, damn, it looks gorgeous. I don't care about this story, and I never have, even as a child. So, like the general lesson from it, cool, yeah, I'll take that away. But it was like this was one of those movies as a kid, like the Disney films, where I was like, I watched it once and I didn't want to watch it again, and that says a lot from a child. Where you're like what Disney movie you want to put on? Pinocchio? Nope. Like he just like move. Like I got the lesson the first time. It's like the Christmas one with the Grinch. Was it Grinch? Not Grinch. Sorry. Mr. Scrooge, like the one where like the ghost, the Christmas past, whatever.
Yeah.
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, like I've never wanted to watch that multiple times. Like I like not desiringly. Like I've seen it multiple times, and maybe a couple times when I was like really really young, I maybe wanted to watch it, but like I just don't remember really wanting to watch that one a lot because I was like, I know the story and I get the lesson. And then once I get the lesson, I don't feel a desire to re-get the lesson because there's nothing I get the second time from it. So it's like, yeah, this story of the Pinocchio, don't lie. Got it. Boy Who Cried Wolf. Got it. Like we're done. I don't need the story again. So it looks gorgeous. And you're going to have to find a really small child and a requirement to drag me out. And you better be buying popcorn and some pulled pork poutine for me because like I need food to sit through this. Okay. That's how I feel.
T.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Darcy, man. I do not care about this. I mean, it looks gorgeous. I'll agree with Darcy on that front as well. But in terms of the storyline, yeah, man, I never really, I was never really interested in Pinocchio like that. So much so that remember when Age of Ultron came out and there was that whole reference, "There are no strings on me." Totally didn't get that was a Pinocchio reference. I was like, it sounds cool, but I don't remember what he was referring to at all. And everyone's like, "Ah, Pinocchio." I'm like, "What? Really?" I gotta go back and check that out. I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it's a Pinocchio reference. Got it. Good. I'm caught up to speed." But But in terms of like old school classic Disney movies, there are two that, in terms of the storyline, I don't really care for. That is Lady and the Tramp, uh,
Oh,
Pinocchio, and Dumbo. I'd be okay if I never saw those movies again. Like they don't really do much for me in terms of the storyline. It is what it is. In terms of like the look of Pinocchio, this is probably the most authentic um looking Pinocchio that we've gotten, because we've had other Pinocchio movies before, and I'll actually show you some images later on. But and they're terrifying, by the way. Like this is actually they're like I said this off air in the chat, where it was like my problem with this, and just from looking at the thumbnail, and I think Darcy mentioned this too, was that it looks very cartoony, and I think sometimes Disney runs into the problem of like, okay, we can either go super realistic and lose the magical feel of the animated movies,
Like
or we
Lion
can,
King.
yeah, like the Lion King iteration, or we can go super cartoony and it almost looks out of place. And I feel like this is kind of teetering on the latter edge of that, where it's like it doesn't look like he belongs there. There's something off about it, but it's authentic. Like he looks exactly like he does in the animated movie. Um, so I don't know. I guess it's one of those things where it like, if the more you watch, the longer you watch it, it kind of grows on you after a while. So, you know, but one thing I will say is that it's good to see Tom Hanks as Geppetto, a good character, because I actually recently saw Elvis and he plays an asshole manager, and man, it was so hard for me to watch Tom Hanks in that role, because it was like, yo, like I don't remember seeing him as like a villain before, so it's like it's Forrest Gump, and he's like being all shitty and shit. Like this doesn't sit well with me. So um yeah, it's good to see him in a wholesome role like Geppetto. So yeah, I mean, I'll check it out, but I'll be reluctant about it. I'm not rushing to the theaters to go watch this.
I don't think I've ever seen Tom Hanks in an antagonistic role.
He is in Elvis.
Well, I haven't seen Elvis yet, but like I'm just
Yeah.
trying to think, like, out of his long career,
Yeah.
I
No.
don't think I've
Hmm.
ever seen, like, he's been like a selfish person. He's been someone who's had to, like, change, but he's always been like the star. So yeah, okay.
By the way,
For me, oh yeah,
sorry. No, you go ahead.
go, bro, go.
I was just gonna say to Tactix, I disagree with you on Lady and the Tramp. I actually like that movie.
I like Lady and the Tramp too. Yeah.
One thing though, I always love bringing up with Lady and the Tramp, is you know how old Disney films back in the VHS days used to always have one adult reference in them, and then they took them out. Well, I had Lady and Tramp on VHS and never noticed I had the one with the adult reference in it until one time I was watching with my little sister when she was like 6 or something, and we're watching it, and there's a part where he's hitting on the other dog, right, the female, and they're walking in the park, and he's hitting on her, and she's like, "Nah, you ain't gonna have this play," kind of thing, and she turns the corner, and he's like, "Bitch," and I was like, "What?" And I rewatched it like 5 times to make sure. And if you think about it, it's completely accurate because she is. That's the word for female dog.
Well, that's not what they meant.
No, and it took me so by surprise, because usually they're like a penis in the sky, not like a word that you can hear, right? Like that. I mean, it's like a penis in the sky for like Lion King. That's what that one was. But
no, that was,
remember,
well, yeah, no, yeah, you're right. But they also had sex in the
in the leaves.
It was
and Little Mermaid had
dildos.
Oh.
Yeah,
and also Little Mermaid had an erection.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
but they also had, like, in some of the movie covers, they have like dildos in the background, like blended in as like blended into the artwork, basically.
That's why I don't trust Disney as much as I trust Pixar. old Pixar.
So for me, I would say that I'm with you guys. I'm meh about this. I'll see this if it has like great reviews. I'll be like, okay, cool. Let's grab some. Actually, I'll probably just because like what I've been doing for all the live action Disney movies, I've been taking my mom because she took me to all the theaters. So now I take her to like VIP, and I splurge a little bit for my mom, and we kind of like rewatch the Disney, but live action. We've been pretty disappointed overall. Like she really liked Beauty and the Beast. She and I, as you guys know, did not like Aladdin.
I was gonna reference that if you didn't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. We were unnerved by Lion King because it was just weird. Jungle Book we enjoyed, and what was the other one? I can't remember the other one, but like anyway, yeah. So I will wait for reviews on this one. If the reviews are like meh, I'm like, you know what, don't need it. If the reviews are like, oh my god, I'll be like, all right, let's go see it. But other than that, like I'm not really enthused about this, and frankly, I'm kind of tired of these live action adaptations. I wish they would kind of end, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel
Terrifying, right?
he looks like a serial killer.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
and this, they try to give my man a fade, bro. Like, look at
this. that just looks inappropriate.
Yeah.
Like I mean, it's probably just because what we talked about. You know what? I just think that like Disney should have done, like would have been made more sense. But I get they bought Pixar. It's like they should just leaned into CGI, because I get like they don't want to pay for the drawing of doing these films in hand drawing, and maybe they don't think that's working anymore or whatever. But like, why didn't they just lean into doing CGI remakes that were like just 100% graphically, that were upgraded versions of the hand drawn stuff, and you can push limits that you couldn't push by hand drawing, right? And just and why don't they just be like creative? Like, why didn't Disney come up with something like Into the Spider-Verse first? Like, why didn't they just find people who do really creative visual ideas and really push like graphic boundaries and hand-drawn boundaries and like mix them together instead of going live action so much? Because like his live action, they ain't hitting. They're like they got way more misses than they got wins. You know what I'm saying? Like financially, they're working, but like they're not.
That's what I'm
loving them.
That's the point. That's the point. Like they're getting the financial aspect out of it, and they're like banking on the whole thing. So excuse me. Well, oh dear God, man. Okay,
I want to watch this like I want to watch Cats. like seeing this right here. Like, is this Disney's version of Brightburn? Is that the direction they're going now?
I just see him like impale some of that thing.
Oh my gosh, I just feel like there's a bad porn coming out of this movie.
Yeah. All right. So on that note, moving on. So our next topic is going to be referencing the latest news and also pictures, I believe. Oh, I'm not sure, but like Beverly Hills Cop 4 has begun production, or I should say, has started filming. Oh,
I love Umar's reaction there.
I hadn't seen that shot before, so that's why I'm like, oh, okay.
Stopped in his tracks.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, like this is going to be the fourth installment of this franchise, and it is going to be actually I know very little about what this film is about, but I think the directors are the people who directed Bad Boys 2 or Bad Boys 3.
Oh yeah, I was like Bad Boys 2. I'm like that's Michael Bay.
Yeah.
I kind of don't think that's the direction this would jump into.
But yeah, so the return of the Axel Foley, and we are finally. This is just unnerving me. I'm sorry. I'm just like looking at this picture over and over. But yeah, so what are your thoughts, guys, on like the fact that we're getting the fourth movie is actually filming right now, and we're going to be getting it soon? I don't know if we have any information on it. Like aside from the fact that like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is going to be in it as well. I think that's all I really know. Do you guys know anything more than that?
I know 2 other actors. My cousin and his wife are going to be in it. I just found that out over the weekend because, well, I was visiting his father, well, and other people at a family
That's
reunion.
dope.
So, yeah, so that's all I know. I don't know anything else about the film. Like literally, I didn't even think it was a real film when somebody posted it in one of our WhatsApp chats. Until I was like talking to my uncle over the weekend. He was like, "Yeah, no, they're going to be in the movie," and I was like, "Oh, so it's a real movie." I thought it was just a rumor. I thought it was like fan art, you know. So yeah.
Well, how do you guys feel about like the fourth movie? T, let's start with you. Like, are you excited? Are you not excited?
I'm half and half on it. I grew up loving this movie. I like well the all three of them actually. I know three gets a bad rep, but I loved the trilogy as a whole. I don't care what anyone says. I still watch three from time to time, but obviously the original is the golden one right there. But in terms of this one, I know that they've been trying to get this in production for a very long time. Like Eddie Murphy was attached to come back for the fourth movie, and then for whatever reason, I guess something to do with like directors and creative differences, they couldn't get it off the ground. They scrapped it. Then it came back into circulation, and this time the storyline was going to be with Brandon T. Jackson as Axel Foley's son, with Eddie Murphy appearing here and there. I if my memory serves me correctly, I think they were trying to do it as a TV series, and then they ended up scrapping that for whatever reason. And then when, as Darcy mentioned, when someone posted in the chat that the fourth movie was coming, I was like, yeah, right. So again, I'll believe it when I see it. It's great that they're starting to get into production right now and they're actually filming. But I mean, look what happened with Batgirl, yo. So I have no hope until it's actually in theaters. But at the same time too, I know Eddie Murphy has kind of made a comeback. He did the Dolomite movie, which I still need to see, and then he did Coming to America 2, which I couldn't get through, man. It just, and I love Coming to America, the original, like that, like Eddie Murphy in his prime, like back in the day when he was like at the top of his career, and he was like coming out with all of these great movies like 48 Hours, Beverly Hills Cop, excuse me, Coming to America. Like that was him in his prime, and like those movies were great. They were fantastic. They were like comedic gold. And then, you know, for whatever reason, he started putting out a lot of bullshit, and that hurts me to say because he's like the mecca of comedy, and like any like comedian out today is gonna would agree, right? Like they all revere Eddie Murphy as like one of the goats, right? But at the same token, he hasn't really done anything in a while, and he hasn't even really been doing like stand up. And I think he's gotten to a point, and obviously I can't speak on his behalf, but from what I've gathered, I think he's gotten to a point where he's become so disconnected because he's a very quiet and reserved person from what I hear. He's become so disconnected from the public eye that I think he's kind of out of touch with a lot of what's going on. And I don't know if this movie is going to have that same kind of, weight that at
Oomph.
least the yeah, like at least the first two had, because I even know the reason why Beverly Hills Cop 3 failed was because at one point I think Eddie Murphy had mentioned that this was right around the time when what's his name, Wesley Snipes, did Passenger 57, and like apparently like everyone was loving that movie, and the fact that Wesley Snipes was like this like big action star or whatever, and like, Eddie Murphy kind of wanted to be on that same level and not be looked at as just like a comedy guy. And so I guess he tried to change the script to make it fit more to be action driven. But as you know from the first two Beverly Hills movies, like he was known for his comedy. Like in fact, the movie was originally supposed to be with what's that guy's name? Steven Seagal. Um was
Oh
supposed to play.
yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I did hear about that.
Yeah, and then for whatever reason that didn't work out, and then they got in Eddie Murphy to take on the role, and then they revamped the script to make it more comedy, and it ended up being a huge success, a big hit, right? So then by the time the third movie came around, and then Wesley Snipes was doing his action thing, I guess Eddie Murphy kind of got a little bit in his feels a little bit, and he was like, okay, I want to be an action star too. I don't want to just be this comedy guy or in these movies. So he changed the script around, and that movie didn't do quite as well. It didn't deliver on in terms of the box office numbers that they had hoped. Even though I still really enjoyed the movie. I'll still watch it till this day. So, but yeah, I don't know anything about the storyline. Like I said, I'm half and half. I'm excited to see it, but at the same time, I'm like, does he still have it? Like, because I wasn't impressed with what they did with Coming to America too. So I don't know, man. It's gonna hurt if this doesn't do well and it doesn't deliver. And it's kind of like and sorry, I'll wrap it up soon, but it's kind of like when they did the not the sequel, but they Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels did the
Dumb and
second
Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber, and yeah, because there was a sequel after
Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber, but it was like a prequel kind of thing, and then they came back and did the other one, and I love Dumb and Dumber too. That's another one of my favorite comedy movies, but the second one just didn't hit, man. It's forgettable. So I'm hoping it's not the case with this, but I don't know. It's not looking too good. So I don't know. Darcy, what do you think?
Well, like I agree on like, for instance, I'm gonna go back to Coming to America, which is what's actually called Coming to America, which was a little more confusing title. But like, yeah, it didn't quite have the zeal of the first film, right? It didn't quite have that that tone that it needed to have. And it's hard to have the same energy from one era of your life into another era of your life, right? Like for instance, this totally random example here, but I've rapped for many years, right? But I haven't recorded much in the last little period of time. But when I was younger and I was making music, I was in a very angry state in high school. And then when I got older in my 20s and I was putting out more music, or even into my 30s and putting out more music, like I don't feel like an angsty 16-year-old struggling with a certain set of emotions. And so it's hard to write that same stuff and deliver it the same way. I might be able to get somewhat close, or but it's still difficult to want to do that, right? There is something natural that's coming out of that. And so comedy, and delivery is one thing. So I'm curious because like I don't really remember Beverly Hills Cops like Tactix remembers it fondly. I watched it, like everybody else, at least one. But I don't have them like cemented in my memory. I'd have to go back and watch them. So I'm more open in the
We
way
gotta
that
do a boys' night, bro.
Oh, I'm with you on that. Now well, what I'm about to say, you just shot that down. But what I was about to say is that if they, as you were saying before about the third movie being more action oriented, if they kind of like take, now I'm not saying that was a successful idea, but if they were to take a natural progression, like first two were more comedy, third was more action, where do you take the tone from there? Are you trying to go back to the original first one with comedy? And then I feel like now you have a bar you're trying to hit that's very difficult, versus is it evolving in some kind of way? Like Bad Boys 3 was trying to evolve into a certain tone, but it lacked the ability to do that. And one of the things that Bad Boys 3 really needed was Michael Bay, let's be honest here. But Michael Bay is the easiest person to work with, and I could totally understand Martin Lawrence and Will Smith saying, hey, ironically, you had that photo ready. I could totally understand those two guys in their older years being like, I don't want to deal with Michael Bay's energy anymore, right? Like, I don't want to work with that kind of director at this point in my life. But however, that director style was so important to that film, right? Every film that he does, this regardless if it's good or bad, his style is integral to the film and everything that's about that film. And so I just wonder, like, can they naturally progress this and they don't have that like director stylistic thing that they need, so that's out of the way, unlike Bad Boys 3. But where can they take it, right? And like you were mentioning about like there being a son and stuff like that, like I feel like we saw that in Coming to America and it didn't quite work, but there's still a chance that this could this might be a little bit different, right? The tone might be a little bit more grounded. It make more sense to be more grounded because fundamentally it is just about crime in LA, right? Comparative to an African prince, like a godly, like campy, godly, or sorry, a campy African prince coming into America and the humor in that. But I'm just saying I'm trying to be hopeful here. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna land. So I hope it does well. I'm clearly gonna go watch it because I have invested interest in the film. So I'm gonna be there 100% no matter what. Even if the reviews are bad, I'm heading into the theater. So that's just how it is.
Fan, bro.
100%. Gotta support the fam. So no matter what, I'm gonna watch it and I will be reporting back on it. And I will do my best to be candidly honest while at the same time appropriately respecting the fam. Hopefully it'll be all 10 out of 10s.
I will say that like I'm intrigued, but not really that well. There's also very little for us to like grab onto right now. But like I am intrigued, and I hope it's good. I watched about the Beverly Hills franchise like late in life, so like it wasn't something I grew up with. But I like I did enjoy it, even though I watched it. I think I watched it in my mid-20s, but I still enjoyed it. And so I'm not too fussed if this movie doesn't do well, or if sorry, that didn't come out right. I'm not too fussed about this movie because the franchise never was a childhood thing for me. However, I do want it to do well because I miss Eddie Murphy. Because T, are you okay?
He's like shooting him with all his comments. Tag is over here just for anyone who can't hear what Tag is doing. Every time Umar says certain things like "I didn't grow up with this," I don't really care. Tag's over here holding his heart and trying to like not fall out of seat.
Who are you right now, okay?
I did say that like I do want it to do well.
You're just fucking up today, all in life, bro. Like what is wrong with you today, man?
I'm just offending you all day.
You're just out to get me today. What's going on?
But by the way, before we move on, I have a thought that I just wanted to throw here. You know something? This is backing up Umar for a second. So, a to be fair kind of thing. One thing I realized that we forget, at least in our generation, people that are obviously born like late 90s, early 2000s would not have this problem. But is that when we were growing up, physical access to a VHS or later on DVDs impacted what you were able to watch, right? And the communities you were in would maybe pass it around, or like myself, I was moving a lot, so I wasn't passing movies around with friends because I was gone every 6 months. And so the thing that like that has a huge impact on what you're exposed to. And we're now in a world where we're like, how could you not have watched it? Where we're kind of, when we say that, I feel like we're always in the mindset of like, you would just type www, go watch it somewhere.com. but like back then, that was like, people sometimes didn't even know a movie existed if it wasn't like big enough, and or it was big enough, but like your family couldn't afford it or whatever, and you weren't able to get to that theater during that time frame, and then you never heard about the VHS, and you got it like, or you watched it like when you were 18, but it came out when you were 5, right? So there's just a huge difference that we have so much access now. There's so many things that like we just didn't get a chance to watch because you just had to be around a copy of it.
Agreed. I still haven't watched Scarface.
Same. Or Godfather.
Yeah. I played the game. The game is dope.
It was funny. Every time I go to like a barbershop and it's like I see the Godfather on the wall, and I'm like, I just try to avoid that conversation. I don't need that. Like, you ain't black enough coming out. But after that, it's like, this is a movie about Italians. Why does it make me more or less black if I watched it?
Yo, facts, bro. I never got it, yo. It's like I never understood it.
It's like,
but you know where it comes from. It's like when they used to have MTV Cribs, and like every rapper just seemed to have it on playing in the background, so it just made them more black. But it's like, that's not even your house. I know this is all staged. So like,
It's like I get the gangster life, but it's not your house, it's not your culture. Like it's like it's not like this was like Black Panther from back in the day. It's like, oh, of course I would have watched it. Anyways, I digress. Sorry, Umar, I totally diverted you there.
No. I'll just say that like I like your point, Darcy, because like when I was growing up, half of what I was watching is what my parents wanted me to watch, aka Bollywood films. So I was in that hell. And when I was with family, we would watch Bollywood films together. Occasionally we would watch I remember we definitely watched Jurassic Park a lot. And obviously the Lion King and the Disney films, those things definitely came up. But I didn't really watch a lot of films that had any diversity outside of Bollywood and Hollywood, and like mainstream Hollywood too, because obviously my parents were wanting to make sure that I didn't watch inappropriate stuff. Like hell, I didn't even watch Simpsons growing up. In fact, I still haven't really watched Simpsons. I watched it here and there. So I can't tell if Tactix is getting mad at me right now because like I can't see him, but like nonetheless, I was actually very pleased that when I started watching Beverly Hills Cop, the franchise in my mid-20s, I still enjoyed it. Then again, I did have like a soft spot for like 80s, 90s action films, so like there was that appreciation there. For the new film, I want it to be good because I want Eddie Murphy to come back well. I haven't seen Coming to America 2. But like I heard you guys were not like T. I think you and your cousin were especially vocal about the fact that you weren't a fan of it, and that made me sad. I was like, oh, because like there are a lot of people in there that I like. So I kind of want this to succeed where Coming to America failed, but I guess we'll see. Hopefully the trailer will be, sufficient.
You know who's actually had a good time of coming back from Coming to America? And the show he did with Kevin Hart is Wesley Snipes. He's been killing it.
Yeah.
Like and he's been doing it from a perspective of like not coming back and just doing his old action roles. He's coming back and doing like comedic or dramatic characters that you're like, oh, you had these chops. Like I forgot going all the way back to like the 80s when he did that like movie with like like a white dude and a Mexican dude, I forget which ones, but they were all like dressed up as women, and like I forgot that he had done like movies that weren't just like Blade, because like for me, Wesley Snipes is still Blade. Like it's like the number one role he's ever done in my mind, but he's done so many other dope things. And he has range, and I forgot that he had range. So I like seeing him come back with that range. And that's something I like seeing actors from those eras come back. Like Adam Sandler has great range. He's a great dramatic actor. And I love seeing him in his movie Hustler he did recently. Yeah. And then there's the other movie he did. I didn't really watch all of it, but he was like a jewelry salesman.
Right? Oh no, yeah.
They're both basketball ones, but he was like selling jewelry to like basketball players. And the other one, he's like a coach.
Yeah.
I didn't quite get into that one. It wasn't bad. I just wasn't like the vibe for me at the time, and I'll probably have to go back and watch it. But like, I want to see Eddie come back. I want to see him come back strong. I'm hoping he's coming back strong with comedy, but I would also want to see him come back if he has range to go in other places, right? Because sometimes, as you've aged, like your life experiences sometimes can help you influence different roles. So I'd love to see that if that's what they want to do. What?
Moving on.
For the audience, the reason that there's this long pause is I was constantly being muted by someone.
Got it. I was confused.
Not true. Moving on.
Well, moving on. So our next topic is going to be kind of the most well-documented train wreck of a company and business that we can have in like the entertainment industry. Warner Brothers Discovery is not having a good couple weeks when it comes to anything. So firstly, they came out with a statement, I think this is like almost 2 weeks ago now, that Warner Brothers regrets releasing the Snyder Cut. Mostly because they caved to the fans and to outside pressure, and they felt that it I think from their perspective it set a bad precedent that now they're being hounded for Batgirl. So obviously they canceled Batgirl, and we covered that in a previous episode. And now they because people are wanting the same thing for Batgirl movie the way that about the Snyder Cut, they're now saying, oh well, we are very upset that that the previous people in charge caved. Everyone who has watched this channel knows that what my thoughts are on like anything Snyderverse related. But while I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone else, the extended Snyder Cut of Justice League was actually better than the one they put out in the theatrical release. And I think that has been universally said by critics, fans, and haters alike.
Preach, Umar, preach the good gospel of Zack Snyder.
Why'd you have to say it like that,
man? Go on.
But I will say that it is rather telling that this current Warner Brothers Discovery, and of late, a lot of the frustrations they are having with their own property and also with the fans and also with critics, is their best, literally their best reviewed stuff are things that they're not happy with. But the ones that everyone has like universally made fun of or are offended by are things that they're like, no. You guys need to give this a chance. Case in point of the Flash movie. Now, Ezra Miller, they have done a spectacular job of making me, and I'm fairly certain you two as well, not give a fuck of that upcoming film. But it's hardly just us, because apparently a recent poll says that those polled in the US, 42% of I think like 3,000 people that were polled of moviegoers who are excited about like superhero films, 42% want the film to be canceled and never released. That's a rather large number than I anticipated. I would have thought like 30%, maybe less, but 40. If nearly 50% of people polled who actually want to go see this movie, know about it, and want to go see it, are saying, "Nah, man, I don't want it." That's what Warner Brothers is, putting their flag. That's the hill they want to die on. Okay, but now, as of this week, it has been announced that DC Fandom for 2022 has been canceled. At the same time, I can understand, because like they have so many problems and so many things that are just really not going well. And I don't think they actually even have anything in production at present, aside from the Joker 2 movie, which again, I don't give a fuck about. This is starting to sound more and more like not just like, I mean, there was always a downward trajectory. At this point, it seems more like a suicide run. So I want to get what like, clearly everyone knows what my opinion is. Now I want to know, what do you guys think? Darcy, let's start with you, man.
It's about to be a short segment. I am so tired about talking about WB. Like, I mean, I'm just hoping that, like, when you have a horrible situation, right? Things have been, you're inheriting a bad situation. You got a clean house, you got clean leadership, because the bad leadership got you there, and I'm hoping that's what they're doing. And you set a new path, and you move towards it. And hopefully the people setting that new path have a smart idea for what that new path should be. That means that there's going to be a lot of upset people in that process where you clean house. And I'm just hoping that's the case. Because the one thing we haven't seen yet is what is the new plan. We're seeing the cleaning house phase, and that cleaning house phase is going to seem more worse until many more times before it seems better. So now when they come around and they say, all right, like, here's our plan, and that plan sucks, okay, then I'm on the camp of like saying this ain't good. But I haven't seen a plan, so right now we have so much what feels like constant negativity, but it's like, oh, it sounds like there's no hope. But for me, I'm like, we haven't got to the other side to know where they say they're going. We just know what they're getting rid of, and we know what they're like beholden to, regardless of our feelings between the Flash and Batgirl and that comparison. I just like, I get we want to make comparisons, but technically at the end of the day, they're two mutually exclusive entities that just happen to be underneath Warner Brothers. So, like, it's like when they made the decisions between them, they weren't going like, you can only choose one, and then they're like, oh well, that's clearly going to be the Flash. Like, they probably would have canceled the Flash if they felt like they could have, if they could have written it off with their accountants in some kind of way to get it done. But again, I don't know where the future holds, so I'm just like not paying attention, and I don't care until I start hearing what that future holds. If they start telling me that Matt Reeves ain't going to be around to do stuff, however, we've heard that they've signed him on for a very long deal, so that tells me they have some of their mind seems to be right. But if they said, hey, we're canceling Matt Reeves, I'm like, y'all some fucking idiots. Like, I'm like, that was like, we could talk about how it could be better. We could talk about how, Ben Affleck is a better Batman or whatever, right? But that's all subjective stuff. Like, this is a good friggin' film. Hands down, it is a good, solid film set up with a man who clearly has a vision, and you back that. And you got to decide, are we going to set up a DCEU? And is it going to be around Matt Reeves and his idea or not? If not, then you let Matt Reeves run out a trilogy, and that helps bank you money, and you slowly build up what you really want your DCEU to be with some slower films, but you're still letting Matt Reeves bring the cash in. And then Matt Reeves finishes whatever arc he wants to finish, right? And you build off your thing. Or maybe you're bold and you say, we're going to have two universes. We're going to have the Matt Reeves universe on one side, and we're going to have this other universe that's like our big interconnected and all of our properties together universe that we're going to take a lot longer to build. But regardless, I haven't heard no plan. So like, looking at this and thinking, oh, it's bad. I just think we're looking at the wrong side of the coin, and we're focusing on that. And I'm just like, I just want to see what the other side looks like before I start even worrying about the future. That's
on that note, before we go to Tactix, like, I want to ask, we have also heard that rumors that Dan Lin is going to be is being eyed to be the head of DC, kind of like Dan Lin is going to be is trying to be their Kevin Feige. Now, for those of you who don't know, Dan Lin is like, he's a producer who's like produced, I think, like Aladdin, the Lego movie, and the horror movies. So what, like, do you think that's a good choice, or like, do you think that that's like at least a step in the right direction?
I don't know. I'm like, you're saying it right now, so I'm looking over his IMDb, and I don't know if it's good or bad, because he's got a lot of things happening here. And it's not necessarily like, it's kind of a whole bunch of different things, and I don't think it necessarily means it's good or bad. I mean, he's got experience, right? Being a producer from a high level, and that's a good thing that he would know how to like do the job. Is he somebody who's going to be just a good producer and bring things together, or is he a producer with vision? Because again, we put him to Kevin Feige, and Kevin Feige is clearly a man who's very passionate about the actual properties, and it's also a really good executive producer, and also a really good like CEO who knows how to build a giant organization, right? Or at least if he's not a great CEO, like, he knows good at being a corporate person. He knew how to put people in place to make sure that stuff happened, right? You know, people we don't even know of their names of because they're like operational people. They're not famous. But, you know, I don't know where Dan Lin sits. Dan Lin could be a really good producer, not a good visionary, and just be a smart person. Could be like a Henry Ford of the world. And he's like, and realizes if I'm not smart at something, I go and I get people who are smart at that and put them in place. So if I'm not good at saying the vision, I'll just get a couple good visionaries, build a team, and say, you 3 people, you 5 people, you're my writer's room who figure out the big vision, and you're the ones who are basically the Kevin Feige team, right? Because Kevin Feige ain't doing it all by himself. He's just the one who's like ham fisting, making sure everyone's getting in line, right? But he's clearly has ideas, but he clearly ain't putting all the ideas down, and he wouldn't have the time to figure out every idea and how to make sure everything interconnects. So I don't. It's not a bad thing, but I don't know. I just don't know, because it's not like, I mean, he's got Lego movies under his belt, but I don't think that's good or bad. So.
How about you, T? Like, what do you think of the current trajectory for Warner Brothers Discovery, and also the rumors of Dan Lin being their new Kevin Feige?
Don't care. I don't care. I agree with Darcy. I've so much so that I didn't even bother looking at any other photos to put into the show, because I'm just like, this is like what, the 5th time that we've been talking about WB or the Flash or Ezra Miller, and I'm over it. I've kind of lost all hope in DC outside of the Matt Reeves the Batman. And again, similar to the Beverly Hills Cop thing, I'll believe it when I see it. When they start actually delivering on what they promise, talk is cheap at this point, right? And there's everything is such a mess right now that it's super frustrating. And their comment about how they regret releasing the Zack Snyder Justice League cut is moronic, because it's like, why wouldn't you release it when the man had already set up and established a universe, and due to a tragedy had to step away, and then the way that WB even handled that situation to begin with was in poor taste. And then on top of that, Ray Fisher got dogged for speaking out against what the fuck's his name?
Joss Whedon.
Yeah. So that whole, like, again, it's been messy since day one, and so yeah, I'm personally glad that they released it, and it was a much better film than what we originally got in the theatrical cut. So yeah, like, if the fans are demanding it, then sometimes you kind of have to listen to the fans and give them what they want. In terms of the Batgirl situation, I actually heard, I think it was on John Campia's show, where they were talking about this, and they were saying how the reason why they don't want to release the Batgirl movie is because they can get a tax write-off for not releasing it. And so what they were planning on doing was screening it for the first and last time for the cast members and the crew, and then they were going to just basically delete it. So, so yeah. Hopefully someone's got a decent camera and they go in there and they film it and then leak it somewhere, but that's highly unlikely. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care anymore, to be honest, in terms of what's been going on with DC, because again, I don't know what their plan is. Yeah, they're looking for a Kevin Feige and this new guy and everything, but again, it's like, you got, like, yeah, what have you done for me lately? Yeah, you've produced some okay stuff that I've seen, but you're now stepping into like really like shitty waters right now, and like you got to clean up a lot of stuff in order to really impress me and convince me that you have a handle on things and you can take this in a proper direction and be on your Kevin Feige shit and deliver on a high level like Marvel's been doing. Like Marvel right now, I'll say that they've hit their peak and they're kind of going down a little bit, in my personal opinion. But that's not really a negative thing, because look look at what we got, right? There's only it can only go downhill from there until they start to build up again, because we have Kane coming in and whatnot. So I'm sure they're like, it's kind of like gonna go into like a roller coaster type of thing where it goes up and then it goes down and then it goes up again, right?
But like
So
even on that point, like it hit like Endgame is what I'm assuming you said is is the
mhm,
peak. It went down for a minute and then it went right back up to the peak
with
with No Way Home.
Spider-Man, yeah. But after that, it's kind of like, because like No Way Home was kind of like the nail in the coffin for that entire saga, right? And now they're into a different thing. So I feel like we're back to like Iron Man, the first movie, right? Where they have to build everything up again, which is fine. I'm totally cool with that, because if they can hit that peak again, then I'm great with that whole roller coaster thing. But in the time that they're down right now, Warner Brothers has a good opportunity to really deliver and take that opportunity and give us something really great. But so far, they're not off to a great start. So, they should have prepared for this since like Infinity War. Because they're like, okay, we know Endgame is coming, and I'm sure they're gonna have one more in the can. And then once that happens, they're pretty much blowing their load, and then they got to recharge again. So let's take that opportunity to sorry for the reference, but let's take that opportunity to build up again and give the fans something great. But they haven't, man. So I haven't been excited for anything that DC has announced. Like the Blue Beetle, like I'm whatever. I don't even know what's going on with Superman. Like they completely have just like forgotten about that. The Flash is a fucking mess, as we know, and we've talked about at nauseum. Wonder Woman, the last movie left such a poor taste in my mouth. I just don't care. What else do we have? Like Batgirl's in the can now. Like it's gone. So
Black Adam and Shazam.
who the fuck cares about Black Adam? Seriously, like at this, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't care.
All right. So in order to stop hurting Tactics, let's just moving on. So our next topic is we're going to be reviewing, because we are covering as it is being released, and we missed last week, episode 2 and episode 3 of She-Hulk: Attorney at Law. Now I will say that I'm actually really enjoying this series. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. Like I was happy with the first episode, and we discussed that in our previous episode. But the last 2 episodes have continually surprised me with how much I've enjoyed it. And just for those of you who don't know, this series apparently is going to be doing an after credit scene in every single one of the episodes. Like I'm expecting, like as a joke, the season finale is going to have no post credit scene, and they're going to be like, "Gotcha," sort of thing. But yeah, so I wanted to ask my bros, like, what are they thinking with episodes 2 and 3? I'll go last. T, your thoughts on episodes 2 and 3 of She-Hulk?
Episode 2 seemed short. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but I enjoyed it. Episode 3, I don't have much to say about episode 2, so I'll just kind of
Okay.
lead into
Okay.
episode 3. I enjoyed it. Wasn't a whole lot there in turn. Like they're definitely fleshing out the story. Not a whole lot of action, but I guess at this point I'm not really expecting there to be. I think they're focusing more so on the development of the character and the lawyer aspect of it, which is really interesting. And so I'm liking the growth of the character. I'm liking the humor. I like the elements of the breaking of the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's great as She-Hulk. I'm really I love her what's the word I'm looking for? Like she's got a nice presence to her. Like she's very very likable, and she sells the role very well. What else can I say about the show? Yeah, I'm enjoying it more so than I thought I would, just because they're like, I'm like, me, when it comes to Marvel stuff, I'm here for the action. Like I like a good story, but I'm also here for the action. And I haven't really been getting a whole lot of that in this series as of right now, other than the first episode. but it's fun. It's nice and lighthearted, and it's not too. It doesn't seem to drag on. So it's like it kind of reminds me of Ally McBeal a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
right? It's got that same kind of similar humor to it, but with a Marvel aspect to it, of course. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I like it so far, and yeah, I'm curious to see where it goes. I still don't know what they're leading to or they're building towards. I feel like it's more so like it feels more like an episode of Friends where it's not really building to anything. It's kind of just like its own self-contained thing. But like obviously they're like they it's a slow build, but like it's not really leading up to something epic or grand like a Thanos or something like that, or like with some of the other previous shows that we've had where there's like a strong storyline. At least that's what I'm gathering right now. I haven't really
I have a
um
theory about that, but I'll wait.
fair. But yeah, overall I'm enjoying it. So yeah.
What would you give the first 3 episodes, like overall, the show overall out of 10?
Overall, I'd give it a solid 7 right now.
Okay. Okay. How about you, Darcy?
I'm really loving it. It's a great vibe. Really enjoyable. I just watched as we both would have watched episode 3 yesterday when it came out. And that one's top of mind for me right now. But it's really just like there's a moment in the show in the episode that I I thought was awesome, which was like just how much like she was when she is She-Hulk and her confidence, and then it comes out of She-Hulk, and I was like, damn, this girl is pathetic. like just outside of it, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's just how good this friggin' actor is. It's like the fact that like when she switches, like I feel the difference. Like don't get me wrong, our main man Hulk, I'm forgetting his name right now, but
Bruce?
yeah, no, I was thinking of the actors, the name.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
Mark, yeah, Mark Ruffalo. When Mark does his duality, it's like it's easier for him, right? Because it's like he was a raging monster and then a normal human. It like the duality was built in no matter what he did. Yeah, this scene, this like this unnecessary like twerking was like I just love how the boss is like, oh, okay, right? It's like, guess this is gonna be another day at the office of superheroes. Like, what can you do?
Do you
Like,
know that the twerking has become like a massive debate on Twitter?
whatever. Megan Thee Stallion was there. Get over it. Like it
No,
was
like
obvious
they're
they're
just
gonna
like, oh,
happen.
like they're like, oh well, why is she twerking? This is inappropriate, and I'm just like,
Has anyone here not seen any performance or any music video from Megan Thee Stallion? This is like just core to her whole identity right now. So it's
but
like
they're saying why is She-Hulk doing it? And I'm
because
just
it's her
like,
client. And she literally said, "I would kill for you." It's
yeah.
freaking, and she's
Also,
also
they're
like,
both fully clothed. It's not like they're like what
yeah,
is the problem here?
I know. Like that's that. Like, calm down, Karen. That's what that is right there.
Yeah.
Calm down, Karen. Okay. You know, all these problems is just like some woman at home being mad about stuff, and so she go find problems. So just a Karen out there just mad about the fact she can't work is all she's mad about. But anyways, yeah, I mean, also Wong killed it in this
Oh
episode.
my god. Yeah.
Like I like my favorite part, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna be like I'm gonna try not to be, but I'm gonna be a little spoiler here. But I just love how like without saying exactly what he says something that admits a
Yeah.
legal problem for him, and then immediately is like, oh, okay, and portals his way out. I was like,
That killed me.
I was just like, oh, this is exactly the way he should exit in a situation. It's like, oh, yeah, try to find me. I'll be somewhere else on this planet. Um, but yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to every episode. Now on a going to circle back something that Tactix said. I'm going to reference something that I was watching my cousin's live stream, and he was talking about out of all of the Marvel shows thus far, before She-Hulk, he thought that Loki had the strongest ending, and his point for that was because it wasn't a big fight. It was actually an ending that created more depth for the characters and more depth for the overall universe and the impact of things. And obviously, our boy out here doing Kang is just came out in one episode
out of the park.
Like he just made Hiddleston look like he didn't know how to act in that. The bar was so high with him that Hiddleston looked like a little amateurish, and he's not at all. So and so on that note, I kind of like the idea that this doesn't really end on a big bad fight, but that more this show, like Loki set up the expansion of what Marvel, like the MCU is capable of, how big and how deep this is going to go, right? And as much as Tactix, I agree, it's been a little bit slow during this period. I think this is their rebuilding time, and I do think they have a plan. I just think it's they have something so big to set up that they know that they're gonna have road bumps along the way, and there's we just gotta get through it. People gonna watch anyway, so we might as well just take advantage of the fact that we know people are gonna show up, and let this be a little bit rocky. But yeah, so Loki expands everything, and I feel like She-Hulk grounds everything, and while expanding the characters and expanding the introduction of new characters and new heroes, and just expanding how much there's a lot of stuff happening all the time that we don't talk about, and She-Hulk is just hinting at it so that we can be yeah, and here's this character, and there's this character, and this character, and they just start popping out of the woodworks, and it's not where were you the whole time? She-Hulk is setting up the idea that they were here the whole time. We've just been ignoring them. So I hope that it doesn't if it's a big bad fight and it's good, then great. But I wouldn't mind if it wasn't a big bad fight at the end, and if it was somehow expanding, and immediately at the end we're oh, what does that mean with Daredevil and this? What does that mean about this character and that? What does it mean? And that's the ending we go off of, versus it being damn, those are some dope fists that they threw. Between the two, I'd prefer the former. So
what did you give it out of 10?
I'm gonna go so far. It's an 8 for me, 8 out of 10. First 3 episodes, and I'm just enjoying myself. And I look forward to just being a constantly enjoyable show, and not being anything else. It's just fun. Yeah. Her fourth wall break, where she's this is just so you know, this is not going to be a big cameo every week, except for, and then it's okay, so this is a big cameo every week show.
But this is still my show, though.
Yeah, don't forget who show this is, and you're we did. That's awesome. Just keep doing, being you, keep being you.
Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna say that I'm thoroughly enjoying this series. I would give it I'm going to say an 8.25 out of 10. I'm really enjoying it, but there are a couple of things. No, I'm going to give it an 8.5. I'm going to give it an 8.5. I'm really enjoying this series. I will say that at times the CGI for the character isn't great for me, but to be honest, it doesn't really take me out of it. I'm just oh, okay. And then and then I move on. But also at the same time, it's weird to see a Hulk in a suit. So I'm just maybe I just need time on this. I love how Tim Roth is playing Blonsky Abomination right now. It is so hilarious because he's both playing a guy who's clearly lying to get on parole, but at the same time he's having fun with it as an actor. So I'm just also, oddly enough, this show has given him more depth than the movie he was the main villain in. So, also, and I'm not the only one online apparently, but I thought he said my 7 cellmates, and I thought he was talking about the Thunderbolts. But when a bunch of women showed up, and he was "Oh, he said soulmates." Oh, I was
yeah, they got. I honestly thought it was the same thing, and then I saw the women. And I was "Oh, this took a turn."
I love how the parole board was "He's gonna go into farming." It's no, they're going to support him, and he's going to open up a meditation thing. I was just
you saw their faces when he when he like got all like in power, they're like, oh, actually, on that point where you said about him opening up the meditation thing, she's like, I love how Jennifer Walters, right?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, he's gonna open up meditation. Yeah, we know how that is. Like, she just kind of said under her breath, like, we know that's some bullshit. Just moving on from that.
I also love like he literally named all 7 of them as a soulmate. And I'm just like,
my better 1/8 is what he said. My better 1/8. Like, that is the least committal relationship. It's like, you make me better by an 1/8.
Yeah. Like, honestly, and also like her like literally like everything about Blonsky has unexpectedly been an absolute joy for me. And especially like with Wong coming in, and like his LinkedIn stuff was like the fact that he worked at Target before he became a sorceress is hilarious. And the actress who was like, I sent him a thirst trap, which is like a bunch of books, and I was like,
it worked though.
The sad thing, it worked, and I agree with you. Like the way he just like bounced right afterwards was amazing. And I'm glad they actually brought up, because like technically speaking, from a legal perspective, Blonsky did have a legitimate argument for why he became the abomination. Like, he took a serum that they didn't tell him he was going to have like psychological responses to it, which it fundamentally changes your psychology. And he was like, oh, I thought it'd be Captain America. Oh my god, when like Bruce was saying that him and Blonsky are cool now after he sent him on a haiku, I died. I was like, oh.
You know what though? Like, he's doing such a good job that I actually believe that he has rehabilitated. Like, he just is. Like, yeah, he's like saying what he needs to say, but I honestly don't believe he's gonna like rampage around the city and go rob people. I
don't think so either. I just think that he's just saying this so he can get out, so he could like join up with somebody.
Yeah, it could. I mean, that's what if inevitably was going to happen. But I feel like he's going to make an honest attempt of trying to make those 7 women better women. However you make that phrase.
Oh, he
make an honest woman out of all of them.
I'm also like, I'm loving the interaction with her and her colleagues, which I thought that I wouldn't do, but I actually did. Her ex-colleague who was like who apparently thought he was dating a Megan Thee Stallion. I'm really glad that they showed him to be so stereotypically like entitled man, that like he's like the textbook definition. And also the comments and like the commentary on like media coverage of celebrities, where like no one said that she got rejected by the Avengers, but like one guy said it, so the other reporter was like, oh, rumor has it. And like when she finally decides to take her own narrative, they're like, hey, what's your beauty treatment like, and like what's your diet? And she's like, wait, what? And and also the comment section. So apparently someone went on and like found a whole bunch of comments against like Black Widow, WandaVision, Captain Marvel, like basically people just saying, why are there so many female superheroes coming out? And like what is this, the MCU? And like a bunch of haters, like misogynistic haters, they put all those comments in that episode, in the 3rd episode, when they're like running through the comment section of a YouTube link. And I was just like, yo, MCU, good for you. They're like, oh, okay, you hating on us? There you are. So like, and this is going back to what Tactix was saying, like there is such a massive difference that Marvel does with its fan base and its fan base's reaction than what Warner Brothers is doing or has done in the past. Like,
Warner Brothers doesn't have a fan base right now. That's the problem. They don't have content to have a consistent fan base. There are people who show up and go, that was good, or most of the time, that was shit. That's not a fan base. That's just how people are when they watch movies. Like,
facts. So yeah, like for me, I will say that this show is everything I didn't think I would enjoy out of it. And I knew I would love Tatiana Maslany. Like I've always loved her as an actress from Orphan Black. She is proving herself ever much. Like she's great with everybody. She's great with Wong. She's great with what's his name? Tim Roth. She's great with Mark Ruffalo. And I would love to see that, like this show I could actually see being like a long-standing TV series where basically Jennifer is dealing with all the legal ramifications of everything that takes place from phase 1 to 6. And like she's just basically representing everybody in like small claims court or like, you know, big trials and that sort of thing. Going back to what you were saying, Tactix, about like a big ending villain. So we know that someone tried to steal her blood. And they're like, oh, the boss is not going to be happy about that. Given the fact that we know the Daredevil's in the show, I'm wondering if the Kingpin's the one trying to steal her blood.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, he did get shot in Hawkeye, so maybe.
And they were very much like what is his villains in the Hawkeye were like suit something jumpsuit.
Oh, the tracksuit mob.
Tracksuit mafia.
Yeah.
They were kind of dressed like that, weren't they? I didn't pay attention until you said that.
Yeah, these villains, the ones that attacked her, they have a specific name. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Yeah,
by the way,
so he could be like, you know, hiring through another, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. I will say that that elf who imitated the judge and like all that sort of stuff, like the way the elf just like would run away every time they did shit, and I loved she's like imitates the lawyer. It's like, I love harassing women at the workplace, and he's like, not cool.
Yeah,
I love me.
I love that actual actor who played that lawyer.
I'm actually really enjoying I think his name is Pug or something like that. Anyway, yeah, like I'm loving this series. I didn't know I was going to love it this much, but I'm loving this series. So, yeah, I'm looking forward for us to covering this more. Yeah. All right. So, moving on to our final topic, which is the review of Amazon Prime's Samaritan movie. Before we go into this, I'm just going to say none of us had really high expectations for this film. Yeah, that's the opening I want to say. So, Darcy, what did you think of Samaritan?
I feel like it was written by somebody who ordered something from Amazon Prime, as in it was super fast in how it was delivered. So let me put this in context. I sat down, watched this with my partner and her niece and nephew. Niece and nephew absolutely love this film. 10 years, 14 years of age. You get the idea. My partner, I don't remember. I didn't really ask her, to be honest, because I wasn't really impressed. So like, I didn't really care to ask what you thought of it. I fell asleep midway through the film, and woke up, felt like I missed nothing, because I knew what the ending of the film was from the very beginning of the film. When the second they were like, and I'm sorry, I'm a spoiler for anybody here. If you're really, really holding out and haven't watched this yet, I'm doing you a favor. So like there was a beginning point where they're talking about how him and he has a twin brother, and then they go like, and then Nemesis was like, you know, never found. I'm like, man, this motherfucker right here is the villain brother. This is not the hero. The hero died. I'm just waiting to find out if I'm right. And I'm sorry, I just told you, I spoiled it because that was the answer. Okay, trust me, that was the best part of the whole film. Everything else was like put this in context. This film clearly looked like they were trying to bring it to theaters, and it landed on Amazon Prime because that's the bar, right? Like if this wasn't Sylvester Stallone, this wouldn't have made it onto a streaming service. No. It's visually cool. It has some moments that are decent in fights and whatnot, but it very much feels like a very high budget but made for TV movie. If you're talking about the budgets that made for TV movies have, it is above that, but feels below that of a theatrical release.
Feels like a Hallmark film, but like action.
Yeah. Or like those whatever Showtime channels, whatever that you're like, you're just like, oh my gosh. And it's like he's an honest man doing an honest thing, and you're like, this is so just basic. Like this feels like the stuff that you write when you graduate from writer's school, right? Like you land your first job and you're just working your way up to better things. You gotta start somewhere. Yeah, it's just, I know I feel like he wanted to set up a franchise with this. It ain't gonna happen. That's all I'm gonna say. It ain't gonna happen. Like, let me put it this way. The latest Jamie Foxx vampire film, 5 times better than this. 5 times better than this. Yeah, it's just let me just go to the rating. It's a solid 5 out of 10 for me. 5 out of 10. That's it.
T.
Yeah, this movie sucks. I'll be straight up honest. Like, I did not have a good time with this at all. I wasn't expecting much, and I was still let down. Let's just put it that way. And I definitely like Darcy. I definitely called the epic twist. Like, I'm like, this motherfucker, you ain't fooling nobody except for this ugly ass kid. Like, you never said, bro. No, I'm joking. It's a cute little kid.
Kid actually did a good job. He was acting his ass off.
Fuck that kid, bro. Fuck that kid, man. But yeah. So I thought, and so I anticipated the twist, and I was right. But I thought, I was like, it would have been cool if the villain, who was fucking flat as fuck, like this I'm sorry, he was trying his ass off. It was a hell of a try, but yeah, this wasn't it. And the motive for this villain was terrible, like just so super generic, super basic. But I thought that because the villain, the way they portray, obviously the way they portray him is that he's a fan of Nemesis, and he's trying to pick up where Nemesis left off and create anarchy and just start this revolution or whatever. And I thought that it was going to turn out where he was the son of Nemesis and was upset that Nemesis supposedly died, and then they were gonna have a face off, and then like Sly was gonna be like, oh no, you keep calling me the hero, but I'm the villain, or I'm the bad guy, or whatever he said. And then the villain was gonna be like, oh dad, wait, what do you do? I thought you were Samaritan. And then they were gonna have this whole thing or whatever. But yeah, it didn't turn out to be that. It was a lot cheesier. Yeah, it just, I don't know. I feel like I give it to Sly for, doing this film, because, the man is like, what, pushing 80, and he's still trying to do his action movie thing. So
76.
76. Okay, so he's getting up there in age, and it shows. He's definitely a lot slower than he was in his younger years, but it's a hell of a try. But yeah, the storyline was generic. It felt like it wanted to be Hancock, but didn't quite deliver nearly as well as Hancock did. And there was some weird.
That hurts to hear, because I'm like, Hancock was like a C-level movie. So it's like, we tried to raise to a passing grade, but we didn't make it.
Agreed, but like Hancock was still enjoyable. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's like there's still stuff there where it was like, oh, this is cool, This I can't say the same at all. Like, very, very basic. And I get that, everyone wants to kind of jump on the bandwagon and like start like getting on the superhero train, but yeah, I just, this isn't it. This is a 4 out of 10 for me.
For me, I would say that I enjoyed the opening like sequence, and like a little bit of the beginning in terms of like setup. I didn't think it was good, but it was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more interesting than I thought it would be. And I had seen like your review Tactics on your Instagram, so I'm like, this isn't as bad as I thought. And I'm just like maybe Tactix was being overly harsh. And then I watched the rest of the film and I was like, oh no, he ran on the money on this one. Like legitimately, a lot of conversations just didn't make any sense in terms of logic, in terms of like how someone would interact with somebody. Also, at times they did the exact opposite of what they said they would do, as a way to like set up a piece of the plot that was also so very generic. There was no flow in conversation. There was no flow of any kind. Everything felt like they were trying to do something and just not doing it. And it's like, so you're trying and failing. Also, like this situation, like, why did he steal the book? Why did he give it right back? What was it supposed to do? Oh, it was supposed to make them bond? Really? That's how you're going to make it bond? Like, there are so many other ways you could do it. Anyway.
What book?
Like, he stole a scrapbook. Very obviously.
I don't remember. This might be the part I fell asleep at.
Yeah, no, honestly, like 100%.
You didn't miss anything. It's not important.
No. So yeah, for me, this movie just progressively got worse and worse. I was so not paying attention. This was eventually turning into a background film for me. So I didn't see the whole twist ending because frankly, I was barely watching the movie. So like I was like, oh, I'm the bad guy. I'm like, huh? Oh, okay. Yeah. And then went back to going online. So like I just watched this movie so we could talk about it and I would have something to say. But like there were times like I'm like reading something online and then I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, like I go back to it. So I'm just like, whatever. Also, I could not have the clear attempts of exposition through news reports is like I think one of you said that it's like I think Darcy you said it, it's like, hey, I just graduated from college. Here's my writing school idea of how I'm going to like sneak in exposition without being exposition. And I'm like, that is so detached from reality that why are you even bothering? Anyway, so like yeah, this movie was, I'm gonna give it a 3.
It's just going down from like oh man, you know, I will give it up for one thing in this film is the cinematography. Like it's visually nice. I'm saying that as I'm not saying, oh, put it up against other films and let's talk. I'm saying it was the best part of the film. This is a nice shot. This is that nice color scheme. It's like I feel like if that part was like worse, like this would have been a lot harder to watch. Like
literally.
Yeah, like I was, yes, literally. Like, I mean, I was watching it on a big screen television in my living room, and it looked good, like visually, you know. But it definitely could have. Let me put it this way: we could have put this film on with no audio, still figured out the whole film, and then still had the exact same review. That's what this is a background film.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think we've said enough of this film, and like God, I hope they don't make a sequel. But I'm with you, Tactix. Good for you, Sly, for at this age trying to bring back your action movie days. But
bro, stick to the Expendables, bro.
Yeah, you done.
Or see if they're still hiring for Creed 3.
Yo, did you hear what the trainer for Jonathan Majors was saying? Like he went online recently saying, I've been training him, and aside from being like as big as he is, he's actually gotten really good that I think he can actually compete. And I'm just like,
I believe it.
I mean, they said the same thing about well, not the exact same thing, but they said for Michael B. Jordan, like he actually has swift hands, so he could actually throw down if he wanted to.
Did you all see the thing about Idris Elba?
No, what happened?
Oh no. So a few years ago, like 2-3 years ago, he decided he wanted to try and actually fight in the UFC for one fight. So he trained for a year and he won the fight. against a trained professional. So like some of these guys out here, literally, like they put the work in, they can do it. So yeah,
That's awesome.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, if you're training for a boxing film, you got to make it look real. You know what I mean? Even though you're not actually like squaring off against a person, like, you know, you still have to make it look as authentic as possible, and the training still has to be real. Like it's you got to be legit about it, right? So
or it's gonna be Iron Fist out here.
yeah.
like they don't have to use cutscenes to do what you will never feel a boxing match as strong if it's all about cutscenes compared to there is always a very strong story in a boxing match, in a real one. So why wouldn't you work to be able to demonstrate that?
Yeah. Speaking of Iron Fist, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently they've already casted some of the members of the Defenders.
Yeah.
And Iron Fist has been recasted.
Luke
Cage
Cage.
has been recasted. And who is the other one?
Jennifer,
Bruce.
Jessica Jones?
No, I think
she's coming back.
I think she's coming back. Yeah.
I think her and Punisher are coming back, but I didn't hear.
Elektra. Elektra, I think.
I heard about Elektra. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know about Luke Cage. Oh.
Yeah, I know that one hurt. That one hurt me right there.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if it gets rid of Finn, we good. Like, I'll take all of it just to get rid of that guy. Oh.
I like my culture, but okay.
Yeah.
I know. I don't want to make a trade. I'm just saying, if we got Mike Coulter and Finn had to come back, if that was the deal, I'm like, Mike, right. I'm sorry.
Seeing how we're on this, like as a final update, like I put this in the group chat. There has been semi-confirmed that will be officially confirmed soon. Semi-confirmed reports that Giancarlo Esposito and Denzel Washington have made a deal and have been cast in a Marvel for Marvel Studios.
Oh, is that what it was? Because I saw you guys put up Professor X and Magneto, but you obviously didn't make mention of who the actors were. That's fantastic. That is
okay. So hold up. Okay, yeah. Let me just read out the thing for you. But yeah.
Wow.
I really hope
man already played Malcolm X, so
yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Okay, so Marvel Studios have reportedly hired these actors, and it will be confirmed at D23, which is I think next week. John Boyega, Henry Cavill, Jodie Comer, Daisy Edgar Jones, John Krasinski, Giancarlo Esposito, and Denzel Washington.
Woo-hoo! We know what Henry Cavill's in though. It's reported he's in Loki season 2.
Yeah, that he's going to be Hyperion. John Krasinski makes me wonder, like, because I've heard that he's not going to be part of Fantastic Four. So unless they're getting him to do like in Secret Wars or something like that, but like John Boyega is going to be in Marvel, and is he?
I'm down for that. I'm down
for that too. But like, I'm trying to wonder like what character he's going to play. But like what I saw, Giancarlo Esposito and Denzel Washington, I'm like,
wait, but it hasn't been confirmed that they're going to be.
It hasn't been. Yeah, these are semi-confirmed, and it will be confirmed next week at D23. However,
oh shit.
I'm going to lose my shit, guys. I'm going to lose my shit.
I find it hard. I'm in disbelief that Denzel would even agree to this, just because he seems, just based off of his roles, I can't see him doing like a Marvel role. But if this is true, and he does end up playing Magneto, full circle, man. That's genius casting, and Marvel once again proves that they know what the fuck they're doing.
Also, like him against Giancarlo,
100%. Like the
my god, oh my god, because like, and the thing is like, so the thing, Giancarlo is amazing. though we always think of Giancarlo in that like
A villain role.
yeah, but like that unwavering personality, whereas Professor X is more wavering, right? He is decisive, but he also has times of like uncertainty, right? So that would be very interesting. But just to see a scene where the two of them like lock eyes and state something to each other that is like unwavering, and it's a rock and a hard place on either side of a conversation, I feel like it's just gonna be like you'll be in a theater and it'll just be like dead silence, and then something will happen and be like, oh shit, no one's breathing here for like at least 30 seconds. Like not a single person has breathed in this room of 500 people.
Like I can just see like one asshole like taking a bite out of like a nachos, and everyone like, shut the fuck up.
Like, Kitty, get him out of here.
Oh man, like okay, I'm trying not to get too sad about this. I'm trying not to get too sad about this.
They can play both roles.
Oh my
Like
God,
I could see them playing either role, man.
Like I actually could see it would make more sense for Denzel to play Professor X and Giancarlo to play Magneto, but they go either way. But I no, just because like I think Giancarlo could really do Magneto. That's the thing, that like Giancarlo could flip either way
100%.
more than Denzel can. That's the thing.
But I don't know, because like the reason why I find this like if Denzel, because the thing is, they're technically speaking, Denzel is known as the hero. He's done a couple of villain roles, but he is known as the hero always. And Giancarlo has always been the villain. So if they actually flip it, not only will like they'll be able to prove what great actors that they have and what like, the range we know they have, but like if they flip it, because like Magneto has always been a sympathetic villain. And both of them being a Black and a Hispanic individual, having people of color actually like bringing forth the Magneto and Professor Xavier mindsets of how to deal with oppression and prejudice, and like already just on the concept, you're on Magneto's like a little bit understanding. But like I'll believe in Denzel if he's like, yo, we got to kill them all, and like we need to take this for ourselves. I'm like, yeah, okay, Denzel. Whatever you say. And then Giancarlo's like, we have to be better than this. And it's like,
you know what, Umar? And I know we talked about this before, but like how there's the whole ties of the rumors of whatever that X-Men was and those two characters were based off of the civil rights movement, and we how these two people based on their age and whatnot could speak to the being in civil rights movement. Ooh. This would be a very interesting tie into the future of Wakanda.
Yes.
Because of how much they talked about the differences of race in America versus Africa. And can you imagine like members of Wakanda having a conversation with those two? Like Storm being introduced, and there needing to be a conversation from a Wakanda perspective against these two individuals and their views from civil rights and how they're split on it, and Wakanda's just like an indifferent but sympathetic to the situation and feeling guilty. Like this could be really like if Marvel's willing to go this far and they're proving that they're willing to go places, this will get like we could have some amazing dialogue coming out of some films.
Yeah, bro. I'm about it. I'm about it.
We just sent Umar to the next level.
If this doesn't happen, I'm gonna be devastated, guys.
We've definitely overhyped this.
Oh yeah. I feel it's like a WandaVision season finale all over again. We're like, oh my god, it's gonna be this, and then it happens. We're like, oh, okay. But
I mean,
still.
It's not going to be like a series. It's going to be over like several different films and different like interactions and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Like I now have my new like end game moment I want to have. Like it was seeing Cap pick up Mjolnir, and then No Way Home having all three Spider-Mans fight together. Now my next thing is I want to see Denzel Washington as Magneto and Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X, like having a chess game and disagreeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's good. Stop. So I'm gonna volley it back to you, T.
I'm overwhelmed. Very overwhelmed. But yes, let's end it there because I have nothing left to say. Well done, Darcy. That you just fucked me up with that whole thing right there, okay? All right. Well, this has been another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
Yo, just Darcy here.
And this is Geeky Umar. Live long, prosper, y'all. Also, like and subscribe, and see you next week.